Hi, my name is Kirsten Zylis from Solution Systems. I am a Microsoft Certified Data Analytics Associate, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is to connect Power BI Desktop to Business Central Online to create reports. Today we are going to utilize three important skills when working with Power BI: preparing the data, modeling the data, and visualizing the data. Before we dive into Power BI, we need to ensure that we have the data sets we need in Business Central Online published. BC Online uses OData or web services to connect to reporting services such as Power BI. Business Central On-Prem also uses OData and web services, but for today, we'll be focusing on Business Central Online. If you're interested in a training video like this or learning about the required setup for On-Prem, please feel free to contact me. If you already know what pages you will need to use for the report you are building, I recommend creating or double-checking what pages have been published to OData web services. So I'm going to log into Business Central. As you can see, I'm already signed into Business Central. I'm going to click on the magnifying glass and search Web Services. This returns a list of pages and queries that have been published to web services or OData. Usually there are some basic pages and queries already published to web services, but if you're not seeing what you need for your report, then you have a few options. But I'm going to show you the easiest way to publish data sets to web services. As you can see, there's already a lot of pages and queries already published. But we're going to go ahead and click on that magnifying glass again. And this time we're going to search for assisted setup. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And what we're looking for is set up reporting data. It's right here. Now you can see I've already run through this wizard, but you can go through it as many times as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and press yes. Now I'm just going to read to you what the wizard is saying. Welcome to Reporting Data Setup. You can create data sets that you can use for building reports in Excel, Power BI, or any other reporting tool that works with an OData data source. Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to press Next. And then from the drop-down, you have three options. You can create a new data set, create a copy of an existing data set, or edit an existing data set. For this example, we're going to create a new data set. So I'm going to click on that and press Next. From here, you can select the data you'd like to use for your report and define a name for this data set. So today we're going to create ship to address list. Now it's really important not to add any spaces in this new name. And we're going to choose a page. For OData, you can only use pages or query. I'm going to take this dash out because it's already yelling at me. Now we're going to look for the data source ID. If you hit the three ellipses right here or the lookup value, it's going to open up a list of pages that are available for you to publish. So I'm looking for ship to address list. Perfect. So I'm going to press OK. The data source ID is 301. The data type source is a page. The data source name is ship to address list, and the new name is just ship to address list. So I'm going to make it easy. So I'm going to go ahead and press Next. From there, you can see all the fields that are available to be published in this data set. I always say more is better than less. You'd hate to get through this whole process, load it into Power BI, and find that there's a field missing. You can always filter your results in Power BI so that you don't bring the whole data into the model if you're having any concerns about, table sizes, like a ledger entries table. You probably wouldn't want to pull everything in. It could be very timely. So I'm just going to go ahead and select everything. From here, we have two options. We can add filters. I usually tell my users not to add the filters here. You can always filter in Power BI. Or we can publish. So we're going to go ahead and press Publish. Awesome. Success. and it's giving me this OData URL, but you don't need to worry about that if you're using Business Central Online. So I'm going to press finish, and I'm just going to close out of this. Now if we go back to Web Services, and I'm just going to go up to the very top. Okay. And then if we start looking through the pages, we should find our ship to address list. There it is. Awesome. Now that all our data from Business Central Online has been published for reporting services, we're going to go ahead and open Power BI Desktop. Perfect. This should look familiar. So we're going to go ahead and press Get Data, and then we're going to select More. It's just thinking. Perfect. Now, in this search bar, we're going to type in Business Central. You have two options. This bottom one, as it says, is for on-prem. The other option is for Business Central Online. We're going to be using Business Central Online, so I'm going to press Connect. Once it's finished connecting, it's going to open up the Navigator page. And this should look somewhat similar. So as you see, we have a few different environments. We're going to go ahead and open production. And then today the company we're going to be using is Cronus USA. So we're going to go ahead and expand that. Now this should look somewhat familiar. These are all the pages and queries that have been published to web services using OData. We can search and select pages we will be using for this report. For this report, we're going to be using customer list, item ledger entries, and for this other one, I'm going to look for it. I'm going to search for it. So it's going to be sales, shipment. Perfect. So now that I've selected the tables, you have two options you can do. You can do load or transform data. I'm going to go ahead and select transform data. This is going to open the Power Query Editor, and this is where you're going to do a lot of your transformations. I'm just going to drag that over. From here, we're going to do a really basic user-friendly transformation. In Power BI, there are a million ways to do a single thing. You can do transformations using Power Query Editor. Let's make this guy go away, which is what we're using right now. Or you can do a DAX expression, which is Data Analysis Expressions, which is the language developed by Microsoft for Power BI. For this transformation, we're going to go ahead and click on the Items Ledger Entries table. And then we're going to look for the document type. Right here, we have the column document type, and we're just going to do a really simple filter. So we're going to hit this drop down, and then I'm going to unselect all, and I'm just going to select sales shipment and press OK. All right, now that I've filtered this table just to look at sales shipments for the document type, I'm going to go ahead and close and apply. Right now, it's just loading the data into our model and creating connections. Once this is done, we're going to create a DAX expression to create a custom calendar dimension table. I like making calendar tables in Power BI. It's one way for you to create a dimension table and then link all your other tables to it. So for this, we're going to go into this table view right here. Okay. And then we're going to select right here, new table. And the table we're going to be creating again is going to be a calendar table. So I'm going to name this table calendar. And then there's a whole bunch of different calendar functions you can use. For this example, I'm going to do the calendar function. And then my start date is actually going to be first date. This is going to return the first non-blank date of a table. The table I'm going to be looking at is item ledger entries, and I'm going to be looking at posting date. Right there. And then I'm going to close this. And as you can tell, the DAX formula kind of helps you, just like in Excel, finish this formula. So it's kind of telling you what you need to do next. So I'm going to put comma, and this is going to be my end date. So I'm going to do last date. Again, this is just like first date, but this is going to be last date non-blank. Select that, and again, I'm going to be looking at posting dates and the item ledger entries. So I'm going to close that, close this whole argument, and I'm going to press enter. As you can see, we've now created a column that's giving us the dates based off the table item ledger entries in the field posting date. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the format of this to something a little bit more desirable. We're going to do month, month, day, day, year, 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 year. Try to say that 10 times fast. Perfect. Now I'm going to just keep adding new columns to really make this a dynamic date table. So now I'm going to add one for the month number. So we'll name this column month number. And I'm just going to keep using those DAX expressions to build this table. So real simple one, month. And then I'm going to be using this with calendar date. So basically what I'm saying is give me the month of this date. I'm going to press enter. You should see a bunch of ones. Perfect. So I'm just going to do new column again. This time we're going to be doing year. So I'm going to do year equals year, shocker, and then calendar date. So again, what year is this date? Perfect. We're going to do another column, and we're going to do quarter. This is really important for any financial reporting when people want to know the quarter and where their sales are falling in which quarter. This is really useful because in Business Central, there's not a really easy way to define quarters. So connecting it to Power BI, it's really useful. So we're just going to do quarter equals, you guessed it, if I could spell it right, quarter. And again, calendar, date. Perfect. So then this column is telling us what quarter this date lies in. So we're going to do another column. This is our last one, I promise. And then this is just going to be the month, but in text. So we're going to do month equals format. Yeah, and then what are we formatting? Calendar, date. And then we're going to do a comma here, quotes, quotes, and then we're going to close that. So now we have the date, the month number, the year, the quarter, and then the text version of the month. Perfect. So this calendar table is super important because we're going to use it in our date slicer. We're going to use it to manage relationships, and it's going to be referred back to in many other DAX measures we will be creating. I'm going to go back into this data view. Oh, we're already there. And I'm going to close calendar, and I'm going to go back to item ledger entries table. One thing I want to point out that's really important is that because this is a ledger entries table, your quantity and your invoice quantity are going to be seen as negatives. Well, when we're doing a sales analysis report like the one we're creating today, we don't really want to use any negatives. So what I'm going to do is just do a new column. Perfect. And I'm going to name this one quantity invoice. And again, like I said before, there's a million ways to do this in Power BI. I'm just showing you the way that I think would be best. So we're going to do a formula called ABS, which returns the absolute value of a number. An absolute value of the number is going to strip the negatives and just have it a whole positive number. So we're looking at invoiced underscore quantity. So I'm going to close that. And basically what I'm doing is creating a column named quantity invoiced, and it's going to give me the absolute value of this column already existing. So I'm going to press enter. And as you see, my column has now populated. And just to double check, we have 4 in our first row, and I'm just going to scoot over until I see invoice quantity, -4. Mine's +4. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So I'm going to go back into this report view, and the next step we're going to do is, before we create the measures for our visuals, is let's manage the relationships between our tables. So I'm going to go into this model view, and right now, let's zoom out a little bit. You can see all of our tables are kind of just living independently. This is fine, but for this report, we want to be able to filter off of each table and then use fields from different tables in combination with other fields from other tables. The best cardinality when working between tables is 1-to-1, 1-to-many, or many-to-one. If you ever create a relationship and it's many-to-many, it may not filter how you intended it to. This is very important when working between fact and dimensions tables. If you ever see a many-to-many, I'd probably recommend to create some type of key column that you can link back so that you do have some unique values, to create that relationship. So I'm going to go ahead in this view and select Manage Relationships. As you can tell, there's no relationships defined yet. Sometimes if you get lucky, like if I put in sales invoice header and sales invoice lines, sometimes Power BI will automatically detect the relationship. You can go ahead and press auto detect, and if it can find the relationship, it will. In this situation, it did not find any relationship. So we're going to go ahead and press close, and we're going to press new. The first relationship I'm going to create is between item ledger entries and the posted sales shipment. So I'm going to select item ledger entries, and then I'm going to select posted sales shipment. So when you look at this, you have to think, what do these two tables have in common? Well, they have document number. So I'm going to scroll down until I see document number here, and then document number here. And as you can see, I've created a many-to-one relationship, which basically means there's many records in this table that match this table. If you could think about it, this is an item ledger entry. So every time there's an item transaction, it's going to be recorded. So if you purchase 5 umbrellas, you're going to see, and there were 5 different types of umbrellas, you might see 5 entries. Whereas the sales shipment, if it just went out in one invoice or one shipment, you're just going to see 1. So 1-to-many. And if you were to flip this, let's say we did posted sales shipment to item ledger entries, and we did number to document, now we have 1-to-many. As you can see, this lists all of the cardinalities that we kind of discussed. The ones you really want to work with are many-to-one, 1-to-one, and 1-to-many. So we're going to press OK. So we have one relationship. Now we're going to create the next one. The next relationship we're going to create is between the item ledger entries and the calendar. So I'm going to select calendar, and I'm going to select item ledger entries. And then again, you have to think to yourself, what do these have in common? Well, dates. So we're going to relate calendar date to posting date. And again, this is a 1-to-many relationship. There are many posting dates, and there's only one of each date listed. And again, if you remember when we created this calendar table, it's pulling dates directly from the item ledger entries table. And this is really nice because as this table continues to grow, this table will grow as well. So I'm going to press OK. Perfect. Now we have 2. We're going to create our last relationship. And our last relationship is going to be between the posted sales shipment and the customer list. So let's do customer list, and let's do posted sales shipment. Again, what do these two tables have in common? Well, we're going to select number for customer number, and then we're actually going to scroll over to bill to customer number. So we have number and bill to. Again, utilizing a one-to-many cardinality relationship. I'm going to press OK. Perfect. Now that our relationships look good, let's create some DAX measures. I'm going to close this. I'm just going to go back to the report model. Oh, one thing to note before I switch views is that now all of our little tables have these little links connected showing that they do have relationships. And if you just hover over the line, it will show you what two fields are creating the relationship between the tables. And it'll also show you which way it's pointing back to for filtering and whether or not you have a one-to-many relationship. So now back in the report tab, we're going to go ahead and start creating some of those DAX measures. Most of our measures are going to exist in the item ledger entries table, so I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And I'm just going to start by selecting new measure. Now, as I said before, we're going to be creating a sales analysis report. So we're going to be creating some year-to-date measures, last year-to-date measures, variance percentage, variance in dollar amounts, and today's sales. So the first one we're going to create is year-to-date. Okay, so I'm naming the measure YTD, year-to-date, with a $sign. Now, one great thing about Power BI is that it has a lot of the formulas that you want to use already created in DAX. So for year-to-date, we're going to do total year-to-date. Perfect. And then we're going to sum the item ledger entries table. And we're going to be using the sales amount actual. Perfect. And just like the other DAX equations that we've used or expressions, it's actually going to tell you how to fulfill this. So I'm going to put a comma. And now it's asking me what dates, okay? So we're going to do calendar date. Perfect. And then we're just going to close that. And as you can see, it has created the year-to-date measure at the bottom of this list. Everything in this fields pane is going to be alphabetical. So here's my year-to-date. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and create another new measure. Now we're going to do last year to date. So LYTD, another little $sign, equals total year to date, sum item ledger entries. Again, we're looking for sales amount actual. Perfect. We're going to close that. Now, a little different than the year to date for current year, we're going to do same period last year, and we're going to look at calendar date. Perfect. And we're going to close that and press enter. Now we have our last year to date measure. Now we're going to create variance percentage, and then little percent sign. Perfect. Now this one I'm going to include an if error, only because since this is comparing last year to current year, there might be times where you might not have sales for your customers. Like let's say it's Q1, January 1st, you might not have any sales, and you don't want to just see a bunch of errors. So this way, if you surround it with an if error, you don't have to worry about getting any nasty error messages, just like in Excel. So we're going to do if error, and then I'm going to do another parentheses, and I'm going to do YTD minus LYTD. I'm going to close that parentheses, and then I'm going to divide by last year to date, and then I'm going to put comma 0 for my if error statement. I'm going to press enter. Perfect. And now we're going to do variance dollar amount. This one's super easy. And it's going to be year to date minus last year to date. Perfect. Press enter. And then we're going to do one more measure. and that is today's sales. We're going to do our calculate, sum, item ledger entries, sales amount actual. Okay, we're going to close this. And then there's two ways of doing this. You can do and filter it by the today formula, just typing today. That's fine. However, if you're going to publish this report to Power BI service, which is app.powerbi.com, uses UTC. So this is really important, especially if you're a customer and you're in the Pacific Coast in California and you publish a report up using the today function. It's going to look at UTC. So it will give you tomorrow's date depending on the time. And if you're looking at today's sales and it's looking at tomorrow, it could be 0. So the way I like to get around this is by just doing last date. And then again, I'm going to look at item, ledger entries, and then I'm going to do posting date. This is just one thing you have to consider if you are using Power BI Pro and you are publishing up to the desktop, to just consider that Microsoft uses UTC. So you might want to use last date, and you could do last date, calendar date. You can do last date, item ledger entries. This way, let's say your data has just been refreshed in Power BI service, and you're looking at the last date. So you're looking at quote unquote today's or yesterday's. Again, if you put today and you're in UTC and you're on the Pacific Coast, it just might get a little funky. So I'm going to press enter. So now that we've created all of our measures, let's just go back and make sure they're formatted correctly, because we do need to format each measure. So I'm going to go back into my fields pane. First one I'm going to hit is last year to date. So it's under general. I want this to be $1. I want this currency. And then for auto, I'm actually going to change this to 2 because I've seen some real funky things if you leave it on auto. Today's sales, again, we're going to change this to currency. And I'm going to change the decimal points to 2 because, again, I've just seen some real funky things. Okay, just going to keep going down the list. Variance, this is a percentage. This one already defaults to 2, perfect. Variance dollar amount, currency, and 2. Perfect, okay. One other thing I just want to check is, let's just see what our posting date is doing. So this is a very formal one. Let's change this back to month, month, day, day, year, year. Let's do that. Perfect. So now that we've created our measures and we've made sure that they are formatted correctly, and we created a custom column, and we've created our calendar table for dimension, let's go ahead and start creating some visuals. Now, if you're already familiar in Power BI, or if you're not, this is Power BI Desktop. This is the reporting page. This is where you're actually going to start building your visuals. So today we're going to create 2 pages. We're going to do a reports tab, or just a report tab, and then we're going to do details because we're going to create a drill through. So for our report tab, we're going to be doing a sales analysis report. So the first thing I'm going to create is just a tabular visual, so just a table. I prefer to keep my grid lines there, just so that I'm kind of like, I have OCD or something. I have to make sure everything is neat. But if you don't like the grid lines, you can turn them off. It's real simple. It's just under, I think, view, and then you can take the grid lines off. You can put them back. I'm going to leave them just for me. So I'm going to go back to home, and then I'm going to build a table visual. So the first thing I want to add to this is bill to customer number. And bill to customer number is actually going to be coming from posted sales shipments. So we can make this a little bigger so we can read them better. And the first thing we'll do is bill to customer number. Perfect. And then I'm going to add bill to name, just because I might know some of the customers, but I haven't memorized all of them. The next one we're going to add is year to date, and that's going to be in our item ledger entries table. Perfect. And that, oh look, year to date. It's popped out of our formatting. Let's just add the dollar amount again. And let's just change this to 2. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to add last year to date. Oh, we're going to go ahead and delete that. I was not selected on the correct visual. So we're going to click on this box again, and I'm going to select last year, year to date. Okay, let's just make sure that formatting is correct. That looks good. We're going to add variance dollar amount. That looks good. And then we're going to do variance percentage. Perfect. And you can move these around however you see fit. So we have bill to customer number, bill to name, year to date, last year to date, variance dollar, and variance percentage. So this guy comes from posted sales header, posted sales shipment. This is sales shipment. This is item ledger entry, item ledger entry, item ledger entry, and item ledger entry. So that's why creating those relationships is really important, because even though these are measures under one table, we're using them with fields from another table. And that's only possible because we created those relationships. So I'm going to go ahead and create some more visuals. I'm going to do a line chart. And then for my line chart, I'm going to do calendar date. Okay, and as you can see, it added it to my access, but it's utilizing the date hierarchy. I don't really want to use that for this visual, so I'm going to hit the drop down and I'm just going to select date. Perfect. And then for my values, I'm going to go back into item ledger entries. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select year to date, and I'm going to select last year to date. Perfect. Now, if you want, you could move last year to date to secondary values, or you can leave it in values. Perfect. So I'm going to make this a little smaller because I'm going to add some more visuals. Okay, our next visual is going to be a pie chart. Perfect. And in this one, we're going to do in the legend, we'll do bill to customer number. So that again is coming from posted sales shipments. Oh, my bad, we're going to do bill to name. So that's adding it to the legend. And then for the values, we're going to do year to date again. Perfect. And then for this pie chart, I just want to see how it's sorting. So it's sorting descending and it's sorting by year to date. Perfect. So basically what you're seeing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The top 10 customer names with the highest year to date. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a card visual. Perfect. Okay. And this card visual is going to have today's sales. Perfect. It's already in dollar amount. So we'll move this guy here. Okay, it's looking good. Now the nice thing about creating these reports is the option to add data slicers. So the first slicer we're going to add is going to be calendar date, and we're going to leave this as the between. So we're just going to make this guy a little smaller, maybe move him up there. And then let's add another one. Let's do salesperson code. So another little data slicer. And then we're going to select in posted sales shipments. We're going to scroll down to customer code, salesperson code, my apology. For this one, let's do a drop down. Perfect. Make this guy smaller. And then for our last data filter, let's do location code. Let's say that you have 2 warehouses that you're shipping out of and you want to be able to see, you know, which warehouse or which location most of these sales are coming from. So we're going to just look for location code. Perfect. And let's do another drop down. Awesome. So now we have 3 data slicers, 4 different visuals, and let's add a title to this report page. And also let's just square everything up so it looks really nice. So first I'm just going to move this guy over. And as you can tell, you can just drag and move and like resize all of your visuals so they fit what you're looking to build. I tend to be very precise. I like everything to like meet up. Don't like seeing any open space. Another reason why I like my grid lines to say visual, just so that I know that I'm not missing anything. So again, just lining everything up. Okay. And as you can see, you get these like lines showing you that you're hitting the other visuals so that you're nice and matched up, and same thing with hitting the borders and everything. So let's make this guy a little smaller, maybe to here. Let's make this guy a lot smaller. Let's make this big. Let's make this guy big too. Okay. Maybe make this guy big like that. And you don't have to do this with your reports. I just do this because, I don't know, it like relaxes me. Can move this down. Maybe make this guy a little bigger. Make this guy a little bigger. Now move this guy up. Make this guy. Okay. Cool. Now let's add a title. I always like adding titles. I'm going to show you a little trick that I like to do though. I'm just looking to see how I did this before. Oh, perfect. Let's create a quick little measure to have a really cool title. So I'm going to do new measure. Okay, and then this measure is just going to be, let's say, today's. Just call it today's date. We're going to be using that last date again. And then we'll just point it back at item, ledger entries, posting date. And you don't have to type the whole page in. You can just type in posting and it's going to find what the match is. So we're going to click on that guy. And then we're just going to close this. Perfect. Okay, now that that measure is created, let's go back into the report. Let's do a card visual. Okay, and then we're just going to grab today's date and put it in there. Perfect. Let's make this a little bit more formal. Perfect. And then we can go over here and format this. Let's turn the category off. Let's add a title. The title of this report is going to be Cronus USA Inc. Sales Analysis. Awesome. Let's change the alignment. Let's make the font a little bigger. Cool. We can also change the color if we wanted. I'm going to make the data label, which is this part, smaller. Okay. And then I'm just going to make this whole thing a little smaller. Looks good. Nice. And then if we want to center this, we can scoot this over. See what the middle of the page looks like. It's right here. Well, I don't know if I can make sometimes they get mad at you if you make the data slicers too small. But let's just go ahead and make them smaller. And again, none of this is really necessary. It's just if you want to make them look professional and just kind of build them out, I like to just add these little touches to them. It really changes everything. So let's bring him down. Let's bring him down, and then let's just make this bigger. Perfect. Another thing I like to add is just like a company logo right here. It just transforms the report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Insert, Image. Right here I have my logo, so I'm going to press Open. Nice Solution Systems logo. Let's move that up. Nice. So I think page 1 is partially done. We still need to go in and polish it up, maybe change a little formatting, but the meat and bones are really there. So the nice thing now is that we have these date slicers. We can go ahead and see how they interact with our reports. As you can see, all of the values in this table and all the other visuals have been updated to represent the date here. If you ever create a slicer or you create visuals and you don't want them to interact with each other, it's super simple. You're just going to go into the Format tab and select Edit Interactions. From there, you can choose what visuals you want to interact with or which ones you don't. For today, we're just going to keep them all interacting with each other. So now that we have page 1 created, let's create a details page so we can drill through from page 1 to page 2. I like creating a details page just because it's not something you see every day. A lot of people are really impressed by doing the drill through. So we're just going to do a real simple drill through that's going to just give us a little bit more information than our first page did. So I'm going to do another tabular report or a table report. I'm going to make this guy real big. And I'm just going to start adding my fields to it. So I'm back over here in Item Ledger Entries in the Fields pane. I'm going to select Document Number. Perfect. Now I'm going to be looking for Customer Number or Bill to Customer Number. Let's go over here. Let's just do Bill to Customer Number. Okay, now let's add bill to customer name. Perfect. Now let's add back in the item ledger entries table. Let's add item number just so we can really drill through from that document and see what items you're purchasing. Let's add item description. Let's do our custom column, quantity invoiced. Let's do sales amount, actual. And then let's just add one more. Let's do unit of measure code, just because some people might sell in eaches, some might sell in cases. It's just really good to see that. Perfect. Now from here, everything looks good. I might want to change this to a whole number possibly, or get rid of the decimal. This I'm going to want to add some formatting so it's in currency. So let's go to quantity invoiced. Let's get rid of this. Let's do 0 because we're not selling halves of anything. Oops. I'm going to do 0 and then just click it out somewhere else. Perfect. For sales amount actual, let's look for that one. It's right here. It's perfect. We're going to add a dollar amount. And then for decimal, I'm just going to put 2 because, like I said, I've seen some really crazy things if you don't. Perfect. Now let's add another visual. Let's do another pie chart. Let's make him small, like that size. And then we're going to add item number. That's going to be our legend. And then we're going to do invoiced quantity, or that column we created. So quantity invoiced, that's going to be our values. And then let's also do a little gauge. I love using the gauges just for this exact reason. For the value, we're going to do year to date. Perfect. And then for the maximum, we're going to do last year. Perfect. Now we're going to add drill through fields here, which is going to be our bill to customer number. Oops, my bad. I'm just going to undo that. Not what I wanted to do. I'm going to drag bill to customer number to this add drill through field right here. And as you can see, this little tiny arrow appears. That's really important. So let's move these around, maybe make another title page, just format this a little bit more. So I'm going to bring this here. I'm going to bring this down here, maybe to here. Let's make him like that. This one, we're going to do this. This one, we're going to do it like that. We're going to leave him here, but we're going to make him a little bigger because he's important. Nice and big. And then let's do another card, but we'll make it a title because that's a nice little trick I like to do. So I'm going to do bill to name. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to turn my category off. I'm going to add a title. Turn this on. Let's just name this details 4. Okay, we're going to change the alignment, change the font size. We're going to go back over to data label. We're going to change the font size of this to, let's say, 25. And then let's just make this kind of small. Nice. Okay, so now we have our details page created and our reports page. So just to show you how the drill through works, if we go onto the report page, let's wait for our data to be updated, and we just right click here. You should have this drill through option, and we're going to press details. It's going to bring us to the second page. It's now filtering for the first customer we chose. And then all of the filters on the first page are being transferred through to this second page. Oops. Let's add posting date to this one too. Oh, move in the visual. Posting date, perfect. Let's rearrange these. Let's do document number. I'm just going to switch this right here. Perfect. And then let's just, okay. And then you can just click on that, control click. It's gonna bring you back to the first page. So then let's right click on Canon group, right click Canon, drill through, details. Perfect, now it's showing me everything for the Canon group. It should be within our date range, which it is. And then it's showing me their current year to date versus last year. It looks like this customer has surpassed their sales from last year. And then it's showing me the quantity invoiced by item number. So like the most popular items for this customer. Let's just look at how it's sorting by descending. It's doing item number quantity. Perfect. So it looks like they have a few items that they like to reorder. So now that we've had the report page done and the details page done, all that's really left to do is format this and polish it up before we publish it up to Power BI. So I'm going to click in this table again, and then I'm just going to right click right here, and I'm going to rename for this visual. So let's name this customer number. Looks good. And then I'm going to just go to the next one. And again, none of this is required. I just like to do it to kind of polish my reports up, make my visuals and my headers make sense, you know, maybe get rid of the unwanted formatting that comes through on Business Central. So this one is going to be customer name. We'll leave these how they are. We're going to click down here on this guy, and then we can just change the title. So you can see there's so many different formatting options. Title right here. Let's do this as year-to-date versus, and let's get rid of the dollar amount, the dollar signs in this. Okay. We have year-to-date versus last year-to-date. Let's just get rid of by date. We're going to leave this guy the way it is. I like today's sales just there. We'll change this guy to year-to-date by, and then we'll do, instead of bill to, we'll just do customer name. Perfect. If you wanted to, we could go over here, just get rid of any unneeded formatting. Same thing with salesperson code. Again, this is just really polishing up and finishing that report to make it look very professional. So I like all of these. Let's go on to details, just do the exact same thing. Again, none of this is necessary. I just like to do it because I think it just really, you know, elevates the report. So I'm just going to get rid of this, maybe add a period at the end. Rename the next one to just customer number. Okay. The next one, let's do is customer name. Second time's the charm. Let's rename this one, get rid of item number, rename. I know this part can get a little monotonous, but I swear it's really worth it. It really makes it look like a true custom report and not just something you put together. So for this one, we'll do sales amount. And then this one we'll just do as unit of measure. Okay, let's go over here and just update that title. I have no problem with that title. I just want to get rid of this. And we'll leave that how it is. Oh, looks really great. So now that we've created page 1, which is the report, page 2, which is the details, we've created a drill through using customer number. We'll show you how that works again. We formatted and polished this report so that it looks a little bit more professional. From here, we can go ahead and obviously save it. Let's save this sales analysis. USA. Perfect. From here, we can go ahead and publish this report up to Power BI service. So with Power BI, there's a few different types of licenses. There's Power BI Desktop, which is free, which will give you exactly what you're looking at here, Power BI Desktop. And then there's Power BI Pro. Power BI Pro gives you access to Power BI Service, app.powerbi.com. You can just publish your reports up to the cloud, which is really great, especially if you're working for an organization where you have multiple people viewing and analyzing reports. Instead of using just the PBIX files, you can go ahead and publish them up to the cloud, create workspaces, share data sets. You have a lot of control on how you want your data to be received, how you want your data to be developed. If you don't want your users to see the underlying data, you can go ahead and create memberships to workspaces and data sets so that they're just viewers. There's so many possibilities again in Power BI. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to publish it. So right here you have this in this little share module, we have publish. Okay, so for here you can select where you want to publish the report. I'm going to just select my workspace. Oops. And we'll let that do its thing. Perfect. This is exactly what you want to see. You want to see success. So now that our report has been published to Power BI, the Power BI service, or app.powerbi.com. Let's go ahead and bring that page over. I'm just going to bring him over. And then I'm just going to look at my workspace. Mine. Let's do this by name. Oh, there it is. Awesome. So we've now published this to Power BI Desktop. I found it in my many reports. Hopefully yours is a little bit more cleaned up than mine. And as you can see, it's the exact same report that we published from Power BI Desktop. It just lives up on the cloud now. So there's a lot of things in Power BI service we can do. We can set up automatic refreshes. That's going to be using in the settings. And because this guy is using web services, you don't have to install any on-premise gateways. You can just use web services and then it just gets the automatic refreshes depending on the times you set. If you have Power BI Desktop Pro, you are limited to 8 refreshes a day. So you can split those between 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12, 2, 4, 6. It's really up to you. You can share this report to your users. You can add it to workspaces. And one of my favorite things to do actually is to load this into Business Central Online. If you're interested in learning more about that, please feel free to contact me. Again, my name is Kirsten Zylis. I work at Solution Systems, and I am a Microsoft Certified Data Analytics Associate. I help a lot of our customers with Power BI, and I'd be happy to help you guys. I really hope that this short but detailed video really helped you jumpstart your Power BI adventure or journey. There's just so many possibilities with this reporting solution. Not only can you connect it to Business Central Online or Business Central on-prem, but it's really limitless. And they're updating this app all the time. So it will be really exciting to see where it goes in 2021. Thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful day.